It's time for 5-Minute Advice for Authors, brought to you by Twin Flame Studios.
Hi, my name is Dr. Ryan Joseph Allen. I am the author of the book, My Drug Dealer Brought Me to God. And I am a queer mystic, a spiritual entrepreneur, and author, speaker, coach, etc. I am so excited to join you all today. The most important thing for readers to learn from my book is that everyone has a story to share. So no matter who you are, no matter what you've been through, your age, your life story, your life circumstances, you have a story. And so you might decide to write that story down in a journal and never share it with a single person. You might decide to write it down in a letter and send it off to someone that you have a need to connect with or a need to make amends with. You might share it with a close group of friends or family members in a small book group, in some type of space like that. You might share it on stage one day or even in a book. But regardless, you have a story to share and it's powerful. And as we share our stories, it allows and gives permission to others to share their stories. And then the world seems much smaller and more connected. One of the biggest pieces for me as I was in this process was the realization that I had a power to empower others. And that is a power and gift we all have and possess. The power to help people know that they are not alone and that there are other people that might have similar stories, as crazy as your story might be, or as unusual. I think there's always someone out there that can resonate and also relate to your story, and that makes us feel more connected. So no matter how you share your story, share it in a way that feels right to you. Don't feel pressured to write it down in a book, though also be open enough to know that you can make a difference. My most important advice for other authors out there is to simply write it down, because if you don't write it down, it will never become a book. And so it goes further than that. I think a lot of times as authors, especially if you're writing something that might be autobiography or memoir based or style, we have a tendency to think, okay, well, I just want to learn a little bit more about this, or I want to finish this healing experience in this area so that I can share even better. But the problem with that is that then you're always on a continuous growth and learning process, I believe, if you're doing your work in the world professionally and your inner work. And so for me, one of my biggest challenges was that I was like never ready to publish, because I said, I have so much more to put in here. So I had to make that decision of just a time and know that it's a snapshot in time. It's a photograph in time of where I was at up to that process. So as I published my book in 2020, I also realized that, as I was writing that, finishing up in 2019, that was just a snapshot of my life. So here in this time, it's been years ago that book was actually where it was at in life. And I think if we stop ourselves from putting things out there into the world because we want it to be perfect and complete, then it might never get out there. And so if you're called to write a book, do it. Write it on paper, write it on your laptop, write it on a napkin at a bar, start out your first sentence or paragraph or whatever it may be, and just do it. Because if you don't start now, you might never start. And if you don't get to a point where you're able to say, okay, this is book one, maybe I have 10 more books in me, then you might just keep waiting until you have 10 books and you might never get to the chance to share them. My favorite part of creating my audiobook with Twin Flame Studio was the team of people. I will say Tina was amazing, and she actually voiced my mother. My mother wrote a chapter in my book. And so the flexibility, I believe, with the company was also amazing. I said, hey, I don't want my mom's chapter read in a male voice like the rest of the book. And so can you help out? And they were on it. They said, yes, of course, we will do that. We would love to make this feel like the best experience you could have. Another thing I loved was that the voice actors were so eclectic and different. And I was able to find someone that was the perfect fit for me, that felt like part of my personality and part of my being. So that as I was sharing my story, I felt like I was actually the one sharing it. It's been amazing to work with Twin Flames, and I can't recommend them enough.
Thanks for joining us on 5-Minute Advice for Authors. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe for more, and visit us at twinflamestudios.com.